Alright, let's review our Javafx Basics, right, with the layout. We call pane is the parent class. So flow pane extend from pane. Flow pane pretty much just when you add the objects like UI controls, label, text field, button, checkbox, red button, text area, and so on. It's going to go in order, like a flow. If a button go first, label second, then it's going to go to left to right. So if I add label, then label go first, button go after. If I add button after. So that flow pane is just like default. Grid pane, just like a phone, like numbers that when you dial, right, dial pad. So you can specify the location, or you can look at like a table where you can specify the location of each object as like grid like that. Well, you can say, hey, label go here. We talk about UI control, right? It could be label and then button and then text field, something like that. And this is pretty much just 2 by 2. If we can just set it to be 2 by 2. That's like grid pane. Next one is border pane. So what's border pane again? North, east, west, south, or top, right, left, bottom, and center. And then we have edge box, horizontal box. So like row, V box like vertical box, like a column. Stack pane, pretty much just you put the object on the top of each other, like stack. Like I can put button, then I can put text field on the top, label on the top, like stack up. But it's going to be hidden, the one at the bottom. Okay. So when you use the layout, you just need to, we've been reviewing, right? So first, extends application for Javafx. Override the start method with the stage per primary stage as an instance, as a parameter of the start. Make sure you have to do .show, then it's going to show up, right? That's what we've been reviewing. And then this is when you start to do layout. So like this one, you stack pane. Now we create an instance of the stack pane. How we going to add the object to stack pane? .add, but you need to do get children. Get children going to return the list of all the objects on that pane and add one more object to it. Like we add the button. Now scene, what is scene, right? So we talk about stage and layout. So stage just like the window, scene just like something that on the top of the window, like the contents. Right, so we start to put like UI control, like button, right, onto the layout pane, stack pane, and then we set the create a new scene and put the pane into the scene. Okay. And then that's pretty much how we create GUI. Very simple. So the stage itself is a window. You can set the title, you can set the scene. After you create the scene, then we set the scene to the stage, then it show. So that's pretty much it. Those are the main things, right? Now if you want to draw an image, you could just like use the shape class, like we have circle, ellipse, rectangle, path, polygon, polyline. So technically just draw a shape, right? So we have image view that you can add an image to. Okay. So if you look at this, this is pretty much just represent the stage, the window, and then the scene, the thing that on the top of the window or the stage. And then the pane, right? We put pane on the scene, and then we put all the UI control or the nodes, right, on top of the pane. Oh, parent, pretty much just the the class, which is the parent of the pane and the control, right? And again, it's also come from the node. Node is the parent of the parent. Technically, when we design this way, then you could put, remember this is like a polymorphism, like flow pane is a pane, is a parent, is a node. Button is a control, is a parent, is also a node. You may notice that you could put nodes on the top of the pane. Right, the parents on the top of the scene, right? So technically, node is pretty much just the ancestor of everything on the Javafx components, like the pane, the control, the image view, or the shape. They call nodes. So technically everything is a node. As you see, it's being used inside the program. The reason for polymorphism, meaning that like I can add any of this. I can add shape, add image, add UI like button, right? To where? To the flow pane. Because that's the concept of polymorphism, right? That's the benefit of polymorphism. The benefit of why polymorphism, then remember we can pass a lot of parameters using the same polymorphism. Alright, now what we learn, we pretty much just want to learn how to use this. Like circle, this is a class from the shape, right? We can set the content X, set center X, set center Y. This is like the X and Y coordinates of the circle, like the, what do you call the center point of the circle? Center point, is that right? That's the word for that, right?
Call it center point.
Huh?
You can call it center point.
One more.
Whatever, circle? Yeah, you can call it the center.
Center?
Yeah, center of the circle.
Center point.
Yeah.
Right?
From which the radius extends.
Is that the word for it? I thought they have a special word for that. Origin?
Possibly, yeah. That could work if it's
Right? Is it?
depending
Yeah.
on if it's on a
The
coordinate.
center.
Center?
It's center.
Okay. Like that point. You can tell I'm off the school for a long time. Center, yeah. Okay. Center. They have like chord diameters, right? Yeah, alright. So this is a center, X and Y, right? And then of course we can set the radius.
I thought the set X and Y was like the upper left corner.
That's very interesting point. For swing, you program with swing before?
A little bit.
Or applets?
FX.
Is that what applets? Then yes, it's gonna be top left corner. Let's say. Now let's look at, this is circle from Javafx, right? So we set the radius and then we can set the stroke. Stroke pretty much just the border line, right? And then you could make it to be a like solid shape by filling with the color, right? With the set fill. And that's pretty much, you create a circle. How you going to make it to display? It's just like another button, right? Or UI control, just like that, because it is like what, node, right? So you could just, that's the reason why this is polymorphism again. Paint.getChildren. So let's take a look at flow paint Java doc. So let's look at get children. So get children is actually the method from paint, because it should, right? It should not be belongs to, because paint is the parent. We will learn this concept already, right? Like common method should be in the parent, right? So get children returns what? An observer list, and the list is using node, right? Node is the type of the list. Remember when you used array list, you have to define the type, that like integer list, string list, whatever the list, right? So same thing, this is just like a list like that. We call it observer list. The list of all the UI controls. Like I said, I should not say all the UI controls, right? To be on the pane, because it should be a node. Because not only just UI control, we can draw a shape. Shape is not UI control. Shape is a shape, which is a node. UI control is a node, right? So that's why we have to make it that way. Then that's the benefit of it now that I try to tell you. Then we can see, I mean, you have a good question that you asked, what's parent? Then you can see that when we decide this way, I mean, think about if you happen to decide this, how will you decide this to support all of this? This is the best design ever. Very simple. It's going to, yeah, you can add anything on the pane. Like, right, because this is the benefit of what? Polymorphism, right? Now we get the object or the node, then, or this is a shape. Shape is a node. Then we technically can add that to the. So what do we get from getChildren again? Anybody can tell me? Paint.getChildren giving you
a list of nodes.
Observer list. Observer list. How do we know that? Here, returns observer list. the list of node, right? Observer list is the list of node, right? Node type. So now the reason we have to do get children, because we want to get that list and add the node into the list. Like now we probably have only one circle, but if we want to add more than one node, then we can just keep get children dot add another object, right? Or another node. Then you can start to add things onto your UI. And then same code, set the scene, set pane to the scene, create a neat scene, and then pass the pane to the constructor one way, and then set the scene to the stage. Very straight here, right? Straightforward. All right. Let's, before move on to the next one, let's draw some shape then. So we're not going to do circle since we already see example of circle. This is a flow pane, right? So technically the same concept here, right? So I create a button, okay. I create a label, loading. Oh, I was trying to do the browser, right? So flow pane. So top pane, get children. So get a, what do we get from here? Observable list of nodes, right? And then when add, beside add, you can add all. Add means you add only one node at a time. Add all, you probably can add more than one. Like I add text field, I add button, right? And let's get the shape. So what shape you like to do? Let's create a new shape and add to that.
Triangle.
Triangle. Okay. Do we have
box are too easy.
the triangle mesh? Let's see what's that. Triangle mesh equals to new triangle mesh. Do I know Java?
Sorry?
Do I know Java?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I don't know triangle mesh. I never use it. This is my first time. I mean, I do know Java language, but I don't know other libraries, right? So, what is triangle mesh? So let's find out. All right. So I create a triangle mesh. Let's see, we can set some, let's see the method of triangle mesh. Dot get points, get getter. Let's see, set vertex format.
Meshes for visual animation.
Hmm?
I think meshes are for animation.
Let's see. Maybe. Okay. This is, how do you say, Java, right?
Yeah, it seems to be 3D shapes for mesh,
3D, right?
like he was saying, for animation.
Let me just get to Java doc first, maybe. All right. Right, it seems like 3D. Yeah. define a 3D triangle mesh that consists of its associated vertex format. A set of separate arrays of vertex components such as points, normals, texture coordinates, and an array of faces. Okay, for example, vertex format point text coordinates that represent a single textured rectangle using two triangles having the following data order. So this is the first triangle, P0, T0, P1, T1, P3, T3. Pretty much as the triangle has 3 points, right? And second points. Represent a single textured, right? And this is vertex format point normal text coordinate that represent a single textured rectangle. So this is This is 3 points, but and let's see where P0, P1, P2, and P3 are indices into the points array, and 0 to normal arrays, and T to the text coordinates array. So they have front and back face. Javafx chooses the counterclockwise or right-hand rule. Clockwise, counterclockwise. You know, when you screw and unscrew, they use the, when you tight, you know how you tight, right? They use the right-hand rules. Clockwise and counterclockwise to unscrew, right? So use counterclockwise or right-hand rule, waiting order as a front face. By default, only the front face of a triangle is rendered. Okay. Alright, so let's see. So technically we have to set the vertex format to draw this. So let's set it to vertex format first. So let's see how we set the vertex format. Let's see some of an example. There are many examples. Let's pick one then. So triangle mesh. I actually want a simple code. So it looks like it's going to draw shapes like that. Let me just try using new vertex format, right? Vertex Format. So we have point text coordinate and point normal text coordinate. So let me see how we can set this. So I think we probably want to set vertex first. Point text coordinates. Set vertex format. I see. So this is just set the format, which type of format you want to use to the triangle mesh. So with the normal or without. So that's the first thing. Now let's see if I want to add. I could add this to flow pane. I'm going to add the triangle mesh. Alright, so this is not a node, right? So let's check, go back to the Java doc. Triangle mesh is actually from mesh, and mesh is from object. Then you probably it's not a node. It's because it's not its shape. It's a mesh. It's not even in this. If you look at this, it is a mesh. Right, this hierarchy. So you could not put triangle mesh into the pane. Right, because if you look at this pane, this is what composes of, right? Nodes. And node shape is a node. But triangle is not this one. Actually, to draw a triangle, you actually need the polygon. Okay, not this one. Okay, yeah, that one we can draw the 3D, but it's not serving the purpose of showing this one. So let's look at Polygon class. So polygon pretty much just create 2D, right? 2D shapes like that. Triangle, rectangle, pentagon, hexagon, heptagon, octagon, decagon. So what you need to create a polygon object first, and then you probably need to do the same, get points, and then add all, which you can provide a list of x and y coordinates, which is the location of each point here, right? So for example, this one we create what? How many points? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 point create what? One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexagon, right? So just list all the points. In this case, triangle, what you need to do? List 3 points, right? All right. So let's say we're going to comment this out for now because we want to find out something to add to this. So we'll call this object as triangle. We created a new object. Like we don't have a triangle class. We have a polygon to create any sizes, right? So I'm going to call this triangle equals to new polygon. Now we get an object. Now we need to call get points. Same concept as what flowpane dot get children, right? So get children give you the list to provide all the nodes. Get points giving you the list again, called observe list, and now instead of the node type is double to provide all the coordinates, right, of the shapes, right? Like now you can start to call dot. You get a list, you want to add all the coordinates to the list, right? And it has to be double and separate by comma, right? Double values like that. Okay, and this is an array. This could be an array of coordinates, right? So again, let's look at the way to dot get point. It's going to return an observe list and a double, right? So add all. Now double is a double wrapper class, not a primitive type, right? Because capitalized. New double, and then this is an array, so that's how you list out an array with the curly braces, right? Array to list out all the coordinates. So the first point, let's say I want to draw a right triangle. Right triangle, so let's start from 10. So right triangle, pretty much the shape is going to be, let's use this to help. Like that, right? Correct. So I start as this, like the pixels, right? Like 10 pixel from the top of the canvas area, okay? Or in this case it's your pane area, right? 10. So that's the first coordinates. The second one is about what? Let's say I assume this is 10 pixel again. So this is called X and this is called Y. So that means Y has to be increasing by the size of your right triangle, right? So I'm going to have to do another coordinates here. So x the same, right? And let's increasing by like 40, so I have 50 location. All right, so we get 2 points. Now the last point is pretty much just increasing y stay the same, but increasing the x, right? So let's say 50, and in this case it's 50 because y stay the same for that. All right, so let's see if we get something. Top pane. Actually I should do it to the center. So I draw a shape right there, right? But let me draw in the middle, right? So meaning that I don't want to put this on the top pane, because this is, I show you how to use the flow pane, right?
If you put negative values for the coordinates, would it change the position, or would it give you invalid answers?
So this is 0, 0. Like in the monitors, we consider this point as 0, 0. If you get negative, it's pretty much just off the screen. Right. Alright, so flow pane, I have the top pane. That's why I just add that shape on the top. This is the center pane. This is where I want to add. So center pane already have image view. Which I don't think I really use anything there yet. So let's just put a triangle right there. So it's right there, right? Okay. And by default, it's pretty much just fill with the black color. You could fill with any color. All right. So next. You know that you totally can create your own browser, right? Like I can type here like google.com and hit go, it's going to show Google page. Maybe that should be your midterm. Wow. So I think the only challenge is to do that. Okay, let's think how to do that. This is a URL. You can set as a URL. But how are we going to display the contents, right? So what type of UI control or what type of node, right? To display that. For the body, like now I display shape, right? Like that is the shape, triangle. But instead of triangle, I actually want to show the page. So what is the right? Maybe we start to read, study more components first. We may pick one. Like I'm talking about, is it a text area? Text area only show the text, like Notepad, right? So now we understand the principle of you can draw shapes, right? Oh, this is property binding. You can bind a target object to a source object. A change in the source object will be reflected in the target object. What's that? So it's a new concept that introduced in JavaFX we call property binding. Make target object bound to the source. So let's look at the target object is called a binding object or a binding property, and the source object is called a bindable object, okay, or observable object. The circle is not centered after the window is resized. There you go. They were talking about this guy. Like if I resize, I could actually make triangle move. So we talk about what the phone, right? Responsive design. Like if I go to Nova website, if I make this, you see that the object just moving, right? Like now, my object is not moving at all, right? Like the triangle is not binding, right? So we talk about when the parent change, right? So it's binding. This guy always center, right? Like Nova logo always center, right? So that is a property binding. So how am I going to bind the object to the parent when parent size is changing?
Those web pages were programmed with Java though, were they?
No. Thank you for the question. There are many ways to do. But we just talk about Java. But this one is, technically this one use CSS. Like how to make a responsive design. And these are Bootstrap. Most likely they use Bootstrap. Like, yeah. These are the code pretty much. These are the CSS. Text line, left, padding. These are CSS code, okay. But this happened to be commented, so they didn't use this one. But they have, these are JavaScript responsive. They use JavaScript. So this is part of the code to make it happen. And these are JavaScript. Okay, just to answer to that. Because they use plugin responsive.js right there. Okay. There are many ways to do that. Okay. There are many ways to do that. But what you see here is totally, it could be not the code that they used to, because it's being translated. Okay. But most likely this one should be, they use JavaScript to do that, it looks like. Responsive.js, and they write that code their own. You can pretty much read that code. It's very simple and easy once you understand the basic of Java code. This one happened to be, it's just not line up properly. That's pretty much it. You can just indent it to a new line, but it seems like we off the track a little bit here. I'll have to get back. So, like I just try to show you, this is like a method called function in JavaScript. Then this is pretty much end of statement, right? So, and then this is var, just like declare variables name C response. You technically can read keep reading. Make sense? Okay. But again, this is not a good place to do learning. You should start from basic first before you jump into this one, because this code could be automated, like could be created from the program. It may not manually create it. Okay. Because they may use a lot of things to make it happen. Alright, so but our focus is different. We talk about the application, that not a web application. We talk about program application like a browser, like we talk about I want to write a Chrome, like that. Is Google Chrome a web? No, Google Chrome you have to download, install on your machine. I'm talking about writing this type of application right here, like the window here, right? I'm talking about this one. I'm not talking about the web application. Okay. But we will talk about this is binding. You see that? This text field. This is called, yeah, let's see how do I make text field binding like that. This is called property binding. When I collapse it, sizing is changing, right? Let's see my current text field. It didn't do that. You see that? Right? Alright, so let's see if I want to make this text field to like fill up like that first. How do I do that? You totally need to know the size of your window. And how do you know the size of your windows? Where do you set the size? Display settings from the OS, right? So Java can access to the settings from the OS. Okay. They have toolkit. Let's see how Javafx do. Let me see. Javafx, if they have that. Let's see, resizing text field Javafx. I want to see how people do first, because I think about I can get that one. Just Windows set the size and so on. So first we're gonna show how to make that, right? Like that resizing. So we create text field. So this is just edge box, horizontal box, and add a text field to it. Set alignments to be center, inset. Alright, so let's see if we do edge box for our text field. So now we're going to change the layout a little bit. So this is my text field, right? I'm going to create a new layout called edge box. We already know what's edge box, right? Horizontal box, right? And this is going to be URL pane equals to new edge box. So we said URL pane dot get children dot add. What do we want to add? We want to add the text field. Alright, so now I'm going to make flow pane to add the URL pane instead. Okay. Now let's see what we get first. Yeah, same thing, right? but I just put in hbox. Now we start to do the you can set alignment to be center. You can do padding. Padding pretty much just put a 10 pixels, right, instead of touching the edge like that, right? So let's set padding. And again, this is we were talking about that last time, right? Top, left, right, or something like that, right? That is gonna go with. So we gotta set a padding for not the triangle, the URL pin, right? So this is top, it's either top, right, bottom, left. So it's gonna go to the top. If you want to add like 10 each, just do 10 right, bottom, left, right? Or if you just, since all of the values are the same, then you can just do 10. It's applied to all of them, top, right, bottom, left. That's what it means, right? Unless you have different values, then you start to do. There you go. So it's 10 each, right? Put it. Let's just do about 5. All right. Now, let's do not do the binding, right? Because the binding happened to be set horizontal grow, right? So let's try that. So we have URL pin dot set horizontal set edge. Set edge grow. Oh, so that's the property of hbox, like a method, a static method of hbox. Set. So this is the node, right? Refer to the object that you want to buy, right? So this is like target, right? And this is like source. Sort is horizontal hbox. So we want to apply to. I didn't create text field object, so I need to create text field object outside. So the instance, right? I mean the instance name of text field. HTTP. And then we add HTTP, and then we set grow to HTTP. Priority always. Doesn't do it. Text field to shrink row whenever the edge box changes its width. I don't see it doing it, huh? So let's see, did we set the size of text field? Oh, because of this, that's why. Now text field created. Alright, let's run again and see what happens. So if I don't fill anything, edge box flow pane could be the flow pane that's controlling it. So let's remove it from flow pane first. So now I have edge box. I need to add that to what's top pane using flow pane. Let's test just add edge box to the scene first to see if it's doing it first. We were talking about shrinking, right? Since I test that it's not shrinking because this one set center to container, so they use border pane. Okay, like I was using flow pane here. I'm not sure because of flow pane that make it not shrinking. So we have border pane set top. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use that for now. The URL pane, right? And we, let's say, when we run this application, let's set the scene size. Let's see if they set the scene. Yeah, they set the scene to 150 by 150. Let's test that. So when we create a new scene, we could create 150 by 150. There you go. Right. So it's just follow now, right? So technically, if I take this guy out, I think it's gonna work because of the set edge grow, make it happen. See that? So it pretty much just make it. Alright, but let's look at, this is not really showing what we try to talk about much. It's just a little bit linking, but we actually try to say, okay, what's property binding here, right? Like for example, if I resize, like this one talk about circle again. Circle has, this is very good concept in Javafx. They talk about you could do dot bind. Okay, like they talk about H. We talk about center, right? X, Y coordinates, right? You could get to the property of it, to the center. Like the coordinates has the property. So H attributes of the object has the property. You could get to the property by dot, like in this case center X property dot bind. Now you want to bind this to the source, right? This is target, circle is target, source is the pane, to where the width property of the pane, right? So let's see why I said divide by 2. We're talking about here. The circle is not centered after the window is resized. In order to display the circle centered as the window resizes, X and Y coordinates of the circle centered need to be reset to the center of the pane. This can be done by binding center X with pane's width divided by 2. So that's why it's going to be right centered to the pane. Pretty much just reset it centered. So both width is X, Y is height to the pane. Pane is the pane. Pane is the parent of all the layout, right? Floor pane and everything. So by just doing this 2 lines, it's pretty much just make it resizable. Let's try with our triangle. So let's see our triangle. Let's make this triangle a little bit bigger. Alright, so it's big. Alright, so how can I make my window actually, after I learn it, fit to the screen size? We can get to the screen and set X and Y, but I feel like Javafx may have something better. Like we talk about what stage, right? To display size. Yeah, that's what. So let's look at a little bit here. Stage. It seems like it's using rectangle 2D screen.get primary.get visual bounds. So this is pretty much it. So this method get the visual bounds. So let's try. Just try to print this guy out first to see what we get. So screen. So screen is from the stage.screen. So import that. So I want to see what we get from this. Get visual bounds. So what get visual bounds returns. So first let's hover the mouse. This is IntelliJ. So hit Control. Get visual bound return rectangle 2D. Okay, so meaning that I have to put this into rectangle 2D first. Rectangle 2D pretty much just represent the shape of your monitors, right, or display, because rectangle. So let me call display. Alright, so I get display. Now rectangle 2D, if I call it, I think it may call the toString version. Let's see, hopefully it has toString, otherwise return the object address. There you go. So it's called toString, like I assume. So 0, 0 is at the top left corner. And this is pretty much my screen resolution setting, 1280 by 728. You could verify by right click display settings. There you go, 1280 by 768. See that? If I change my screen setting, it's going to update that values, right? So now that's what I think that Javafx make it so easier. Before you cannot do like this, you have to do many steps. So let's come back. So screen is from javafx.stage. So the screen. So we get the resolution settings. Now, meaning we could set your scene now to that size, right? But the way that we set, normally we just do comma, right? Where we create a scene, new scene right there with pretty much get width and get height, right? So, for example, what I try to say is this pretty much just give you the display settings, and then what's the width? Width. You just say display dot get width, and then display dot get height. X and Y. When you launch application, it should pretty much just fill up the screen for you, right? So, but it's not actually the perfect one, right? So that's why this one said, hey, you should set to the stage, not to a scene, right? You say you do get width minus get width divided by 2. Okay, so get width of the primary scene minus state dot get width, because they get the current width of the stage. Okay, let's see. Divide by 2, divide by 4. Alright, so our stage in this case is what? Primary stage, right? Dot what? Set x. Oh, that's the coordinates, right? Where you set x. That's why they subtract out, you get the coordinates. Coordinate of display dot get width minus stage dot get width. Primary stage dot get width divide by 2. Now in this case it's going to divide. We have to subtract first. So what do we get when we subtract display dot get width minus primary stage dot get width? Technically, whatever let me do system out, then we'll see. Like if I system out dot, we want to see what is the width of the primary stage, right? By default, get width. Alright, so we do the same with this, but now we gotta do with the Y, right? Set Y. To get what? Height, right? So get height. Alright, so I want to system out that too, then technically I know what it's doing. So primary stage, and then how is he? Let's run one more time. It looks like it's just cascading it, huh? From that code. Set stage X and Y according to screen size. Scene, they make 300 to 250. Set fill to null, set scene to scene, that's what we need them. Set scene to scene. So where's our scene? This is our, oh, because I have this. Alright. Stage, we set to scene already. But this one do after, right? Very interesting. So this show first and then they do after. So it's a primary stage dot set scene to scene. They do that first and then scene dot set fill to null, right? Set fill to null. All right, let's see what we get. Okay. There's a problem with the grown here because it's not really binding to the target. Alright, so what we're gonna do, I think this window should be fine. Okay, this pretty much, if you don't do divine, I think it's gonna help to Alright, so now we technically learn how to pretty much just set the size of your windows to show up. Okay, now the next thing that we want to look at is how do we bind the triangle here, right? When we change the shape of triangle should be modified.
Can we bind the mouse to the box with JavaFX too? JavaFX.
Which box?
We bind it to the box, our window that we create. The application.
Which one? The box of Windows? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, the actual when we
Windows, right? Yeah. That's what we try to do. We try to bind to the actual Windows because Windows is the stage, right? We have to bind to the stage. Like according to this, if you see, we are binding to the stage or the pane, huh? But pane set pane to the stage, right? To the scene and scene to the stage. So what we want to look at is like the circle class has property, double property center X. As you see, center X has the double property. You have get center, set center. So these are just the center, right? But they also have getter like method for the property too, because they have the property of center X. Now what we try to find out is, do you have the same thing with a polygon? Right, if you want to bind, because this is a triangle, so we have to go back to look at triangle. So triangle dot we talk about property, right? Bounds in low. These are the property, right? Depth test, cursor, disable, fill, focused. Layout X property, layout Y property. So we're looking for the property. Which property that we should use? So this what points, right? It should be points property, right? There's so many. I need to pick the right property. So polygon binding property, polygon points binding. They have that question too. So let's look at points property. Points property dot bind, right there, right? So that's pretty much the method I'm looking for. Point. They don't have that, huh? Points property dot bind. This can work, yeah. So circle look like very easy to do, huh? Because they have exactly. Now we pick the triangle. Triangle is create object binding. List of double. So we have to bind to. Very interesting idea here. So let's try that. So this is pretty much a polygon, and we want to bind. So we create. We want to bind the scene, right? To pretty much we create a new right there, right? To bind like that. Object binding. So it look like we just call an object binding pretty much class to use. this pretty much is the one that we need to import from Javafx object binding, right? And also this is going to be the list of like the double the coordinates value, and this object binding we call binding. Now we require to compute, write a code to compute the values. That returns the values, like we had to get width and height in the code. And this is pretty much just get pretty much just try to calculate the whole new coordinates for each object, and you add it into the list manually. Then you can pretty much just bind the object. You may see that it's kind of a little bit more complicated than using the circle, because circle has the binding property for center X and center Y. So let's look at this. Is pretty much just calling the binding, and then this has to be a super binding. This has to return the list. We create a new list that add based on these conditions. Let's just try to show that if width greater than height, then we just do divide by 2, just like the way that we do the binding, divide by 2. Otherwise always set to 0, and this pretty much just give the new X, new Y. 1, 2, 3. So this is based on the code, which is a rectangle, but for us it's triangle. We probably have to modify this a little bit too. So we need only 3 points so far. So not sure why we need to do 2 times, but let's remove it for now. Then we understand once you run the code. Alright, so now this is create the binding object. So this is pretty much just has to be ended right there, right? We happen to just pick a triangle, that's why it's just a little bit challenge on do the binding here. So this is pretty much just a new object you create inside. So what's this? This is like a new class we call an inner class. Okay, so it's going to end like the methods that you create. Pretty much just we implement list, the compute value, and then end it right there. Alright, so we pretty much has to do the same here and make this. This whole thing is the inner class. Okay, so it's gonna end right there. Okay, let's check. So the method open and close, open and close. Okay, so this is belongs to the whole method and that class. Alright, so we pretty much just create an object, a binding object, but let's see how do we use it. Okay, this is just a binding object. So when we resizing, polygon.getPoint set all bindings.get. So we have to make the object listen. We add the listener. So now this is introduced to the next chapter, which is the event listener. Alright, so for now, I want to explain a little bit here, but you may understand in deep detail when we get to event listener. Okay, so each object you can add a listener to it by using the method add listener, and invalidation listener pretty much just a listener that handle the binding object. Okay, so like for example, let me show you the event listener for the button. This is going to be chapter 15. Okay. So this is all just showing how to draw, right? So let's talk about event listener a little bit. So like for example, I have a button. OK button, right? When I click the button, it's going to fire an action event. And then we have to create an event object to handle the action. All right, so let's look at, I create a button. I want the button has event when you click. So I have to set on action. Alright, this is the method to set on action. Just like I tried to show you earlier with our code, right, for the binding. You may see binding right here, right? Add listener, right? So this is set on action. Okay. Now, who's going to handle it? When I click, action is click, but like you don't have to be click, right? The button could be you when you hover the mouse over. That could be an action too. So that's why we just call set on action. So this is the handler object. So we create handler OK handler class. So pretty much just another class. So this is two separate classes, two files, right? So another class who implements is the keyword. You learn extends. Extend is inheritance, right? So you're gonna learn an interface. So implement. This is an interface. Interface pretty much just all the abstract methods. We learn abstract, right? That some method don't have to be implemented. So now, what you have to understand at this point is, when I click, someone has to handle it. And that one is the object handler one. Object of a class handler. And this class is, I have to create that class to handle. What do I handle? The method handle going to say I click the button OK. Alright. Let's understand this concept first. Okay. Let me show you from the code. Because if you keep reading this code that we try to do, we happen to pick a triangle. So you probably going to get lost a little bit. So that's why I want to just try to show you an event listener a little bit first. So I had a button, correct? In my code, I have the button. And this is a button named OK, right? I mean, the text is OK, name is button instant. I have another button named Go, right? So let me make sure I add the Go button. Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm going to add it into the layout first, because now it's not going to be displayed because I've been replacing with the URL pane, right? So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add into the URL pane, right? I can do add all. Now, I am not going to use this pane. I delete it now. I don't want to. Let's run first. I want to see if we have the OK button or not. We have Go. Okay. So technically, let me just use this button then. It seemed like I didn't use that one. Go, right? So I'm going to call Go button. Right now, I don't have any event on it, right? So I add the Go button to the layout. So if I run that, when I click, it's not going to do anything. Nothing. So we talk about when I click, it's going to fire an action. Okay. On action is the method that you want to use. Go button dot add, right? The on action on drag, on drop, on key press, on mouse release, on, there's so many of them, right? So we want to use set on action. We want to set an action to this button. And you may see when I set on action, it's required to have the event handler. Pretty much just when I click, who's going to handle pretty much just what it's supposed to do when I click, right? And how do I create event handler? First, what event handler? Event handler is required, right? You can technically think it as another class, right? That the problem is it cannot be a class. Like if it's a class, you require to implement the method of the class, right? To handle the action right away. But you don't even know when hit go button, like what the developer intended to make it happen. That means you're not allowed to write the code. That makes sense? So that's why the answer is you have to use an interface. What is an interface? Interface, this is not the graphic user interface. It's just the term like a class and interface like that. So an interface is pretty much just an abstract. We talk about abstract, right? Like you have, when you sit in the car, you have 3 buttons in front of you. When you press a button, you don't even know what happened. Correct? But we make a button for you. That's just an interface, an abstract. That button can do anything that you wiring it to do. Same right here, right? So an interface pretty much consists of a method that not being implemented. Okay, and we call abstract method, right? The method that you, an empty method, we call abstract method. You guys seen abstract method before? Have I shown you before? So that's one of the reason why we have the chapter that talk about that. That we gotta talk about it, okay? But let me show you, because according to our schedule, we gotta talk about that after this one, okay? Let me show. So let's go back to abstract classes. So it's in chapter 13, and I would encourage you to start reading that chapter. It's before 14, right? We are on 14, right? So it's called abstract classes. A class that has the word abstract in front, meaning this class has some abstract method. So these are all the method, right? But let's see which one is abstract method. Abstract method have the abstract word in front too. Like this is called geometric, right? Class. They have abstract get area, and you never implement it. Why? The one who extends is going to implement it. And why we want to leave it here? Because all the geometric should be able to get an area. But geometric could be circle, triangle, rectangle. We don't know. And we cannot implement because the way they get area is different. Pi r square, side by side, right? 1/2 base and height, right? This is exactly the same concept of an interface. So abstract class is some method is implemented, some method are abstract, right? But the interface is all of them are abstract. That's it. It is called an interface. So if you look at an interface, an example here, all of them are not implemented. editable, like there. That's just an interface. Instead of class, we call interface, right? Okay. Now let's pause that, and then we'll come back and review this. Just start to read that chapter. But now you know interface is like class, but all the methods are abstract, right? Not implemented. And why we cannot implement? Because we don't know what the action is going to be. Like get area, we don't know what type of shape you're looking for, right? But we know that we must have this action. Exactly like, look at the button again. We know that we have to handle action, but we don't know what type of action we have to handle. That makes sense? When user click the button. So meaning that something has to handle it. So that's why we said event handler is an interface. How do I use an interface? That's the next question. To use an interface, like for example, interface eatable. How to eat? We don't know how to eat because it depends on the type of animals, right? So we said class chicken implements the interface eatable. Chicken inherit from animal, which gonna have the sounds, right? But it's implement eatable. And eatable has the method. What's the method that eatable have again? How to eat, right? So meaning that chicken required to implement what? Override the method how to eat. You guys seen the override again, right? Have you guys seen this before in Javafx? Start here. Start is an abstract method. Why it has to be abstract? Because we write a Javafx graphic user interface, but we don't know how you want it to look like. So we let the developer implement it. Now come back to this. How to use the event handler interface. The class must implement it. The class that's going to implement it just go button class. I just have to implement that class, right? Create that class name go button class equals to new, right? That's how you create an object of the class, correct? And do I have that class yet? No, I need to implement it, right? How do I pretty much just create a class name go button. So pretty much just right there, right? Create a new class. See, I create two classes now, right? So I create a new class named go button. How do I create this class? Why I need to create this class? To handle when the button click, right? Who's gonna handle? Event handler. What is event handler? It's an interface, right? Abstract is an interface. How do I use an interface? I have to implement an interface. What's the interface name? Event handler. Now what implements? Event handler has the method. This class is going to have an error if this class not overriding the method. So I need to override the methods. and the method that it has is handle. So how would you like to handle? I would say system.out.print go button click, right? Or you don't have to, you can just say load the URL, but this is just the starting point, right? Now you can implement the rest here. How do I link back to this? This has to have an object of event handler, right? This requires to have an object of event handler. Now interface is another way to do polymorphisms. Remember we said circle is geometric, right? Because geometric extends, because circle extends geometric, right? Shapes, right? That's polymorphism, right? So same thing. Go button class is event handler when you implement an interface. So meaning that if I say new, or if I pass in go button class, I just pass the event handler to it, because go button class implements event handler, so it is event handler. It's polymorphism. Remember the benefit of polymorphism, right? Okay. All right, let's test. Now when I click the button, it should print go button click. Right, so this is the event handler concept, right? So the object create the event when you click is the event click, and you have to have the object of the handler named go button class is an object of the event handler to handle. How you handle pretty much inside here that you have to implement. That's why it's an interface. If you're new to this, is maybe need some time to go back and review, but we record this. But that's why the most important concept also you need to review. Go back to chapter 13. We can talk about that. But this whole thing, okay, this whole thing can be simplified. Okay. This is one way to explain, to make sure you understand it. This whole thing can be simplified into the concept we call an inner class. And it can be simplified further to a lambda operator. Okay, so let's look at, this is pretty much the list of action events that all the UI control, all the nodes can add the event to it. Like you can click the event to the tab. This is an event, right? Click tab. See, you can put event to the stage. You move it or mouse click, right? So you totally can put event to all of them. Right, you can actually use the key. Like, how do you add a new tab? Like, I'm not sure. Control N, something like that, right? Yeah, key event. You see that? Or mouse event plus. So those pretty much just, you can handle everything from key event, mouse event. But this is basic. This is for PC. When you do Android, we have more events, like slides, tabs, right? So that's more events, right? So this is from PC, only mouse and keyboard, right? But let's simplify this whole thing again. So let's look at this one. This is a button again, right? This button name enlarge. You call .set on action, and you need a header, right? We call new enlarge header, right? New enlarge header pretty much just another class that implement event header, and it's just handled by just change the size of the circle pane. Okay. Now we talk about inner class, right? What's an inner class? Like what implementing here we call two separate classes. If you really look at this, you only use this once. You don't really need, there's no reason to instantiate this object again to reuse them. The class concept is you create a library that you can reuse over and over again, but this one most likely is only used for this guy, right? So there's no reason to create two separate classes. We could create another class inside the method that we call set on action. How do we do that? Just create new event handler. Right there. See that the whole method just fill in, and then you just handle right there. So no need to have go button class, just delete it. Like if I comment out, okay. So this is called an inner class. See that? You just implement inside the method, and then you use parentheses, semicolon in the method. And it's going to do the same thing. Right. See? Alright, so this is called an inner class. Like, if you look at an example. This is one second. This is actually called anonymous class. Okay. Before anonymous class, we call an inner class, right? An inner class, pretty much you create another class inside this class. All right. So let me rewind back a little bit. This is called anonymous class. So this is a class, right? So I'm going to create this class. This is the end of the class, but I put another class inside. So this is called an inner class. See that? So we just create an object of that class in here instead, and then the rest pretty much do the same. Go button class. So this is called an inner class, right? A class inside class, right? Right. So if you look at, like, I have class A, class test, I can put inner class in there. Okay. And inner class, there's no reason to have it as public. You can make it as default or private because you technically want to use inside this class only. So this is called inner class, but we said we can even reduce this into an anonymous class. What's an anonymous inner class? It is an inner class without a name. It combines defining an inner class and creating an instance of the class into one step. Technically, like here, right? Normally we can shorten this, right? This is an inner class, right? To instead of instant like that, I can just say new go button class like that. Correct? And by the way, we no longer need this class, so I'm going to just remove it. because they are inner class already, right? But this is called inner class, but we said inner class doesn't have the name anymore for anonymous. That's why I call anonymous, because no name, right? Anonymous, I don't want to define the name. So we don't want to define the name, we technically just remove the name out, like that new, and implements. We just call the interface right away. Okay, so if you really look at this code, this is an inner class. I cut it out. I want to create an anonymous inner class. The class that doesn't have the name, I pretty much just replace this whole thing with the class. I said the class doesn't have the name, take the whole name out. This is the name, right? And modify it out. So I just need to implement new event handler, right? An interface. Like that. Make an interface just with the parentheses, and that's it. So this is called anonymous inner class. Class that doesn't have name. And this still work as the same, like we seen that already. When you hit click go, it still work. Alright, so we have learned event handler, interface, inner class, anonymous inner class. Alright, but this whole thing can be simplified even further by using Lambda operator. Alright, so let's look at we could simplify event handling using Lambda expression. Technically, this whole thing, the new event handler interface, even the method, can be replaced, the highlighted part replaced with the arrow sign. This arrow sign called Lambda. And the E represent the action event E parameter. We still need a parameter. Alright, so let's see, we modify our code again. Remember we were looking at create an object from separate class. We look at inner class, we look at anonymous inner class. Remember, if you rewind this whole thing back, we only have the button and set on action, that's it. Whatever action that you want to do, you can replace with what? Lambda. Lambda is just an arrow direction. And then you open the curly braces. These are the action that I want to do. Done. The whole story from what? Chapter 13, abstract class, interfaces, inner class, anonymous inner class. You don't have to know anything. You just need to know that as set on action, do event E. Whatever you want to do, Lambda, put in the curly braces. It's being hidden. But behind the scene, that's what's happening. Like before Javafx, if you use swing, you're not going to have Lambda. It's going to be very difficult to understand. Just like I tried to explain to you earlier. A lot of people already lost. Because it's based on a lot of experiences and knowledge. But now, that's why I try to show you at this point, action event, you could just use Lambda and try to understand how to use it. and then start to understand when we talk about interfaces and abstract, and revise this again. Okay. But the reason we have to talk about this because what we try to do again, we try to binding this triangle to the event. It's not easy, huh? Seeing the responsive, right? But we cannot binding it yet. It's require you to understand this knowledge, this skill set, the event listener concept. Okay. Yeah, UI programming is not easy. Yeah. This is what I try to do here. An interface name, invalidation listener, has the abstract method name invalidated, and then set all the points to the new binding gets. So that's going to make this happens. Okay, this is the thing that we collapse here. We make this is technically an inner class here, right? And then we have to invalidate the listener, invalidation. That's why observable we have to make it extends. Polygon, we don't have polygon, we call triangle. Now last thing, invalidation listener doesn't have type parameters. New invalidation listener. Okay. We need this. All right, let's see what's happening. Still not biting, huh? It's set scene and set visible true. Alright, so we not successfully make this binding. So let's make the concept more simplified than using this code then. So I'm gonna leave this for now. So let's see. This is I just look at how people do, but let's see if how I would do. Okay. So first, we need to understand the binding property. So we're going to come back to the binding. Okay. So example is we can do get the property and then dot bind, right? Now the problem is triangle get points. How we gonna get the property of the get points? Right. So let's try again with triangle dot get properties. So this is called center X property. Center X is pretty much just the attribute of the X and Y centered of the circle. Like this one, you technically want to get all the values here and make this all values by to the stage.
I'm just guessing. What if you do get points dot and bind something?
Didn't have that, right? Because you need to get the property. Point cell doesn't show the property. We need to get the property of the points. Like something like property here, which it makes sense that this doesn't have property because it's a polygon. It's not just one or two. So this is the reason why it's trying to create own binding object with its own just call dot bind here. Make that object to bind, right? Just like what we try to bind right here, right? But this is bind to width and height property. Like this is by to width and height property, right? Same concept right there. But how would you make this object to bind to width and height property? This is an object called binding. Where is this object being used? Binding.get. So binding.addListener. These are things that it make the binding, add, and set. So technically, I really wonder if it really get to call this. Okay, in binding, when we move, it is calling it. Then that means we get to some point. So I just try to debugging it, right? Alright, so in binding it's actually called twice and then stop, which it depends on the location I set scene and made show. So location also does matter. Let's try again. If I move it here, it's not even called because it's not registered. See, so that's why it will never work. When I move, it's never called. So we try to add listener to binding. I don't think this is right because binding will not listen to. We should make it listen to when you move the windows, adjust the windows. Should be stage, should add listener to stage. It's called primary stage dot add event handler, something like that, and then we can just start to handle. But we just need to know what is the right event to add to a stage, which I was showing you the list of event handler earlier, right? Let me remember this page first. 565. Okay. So the list of event handler for the stage. Right here. Do we have for the stage? We have for the scene, event type, mouse event, key event, action event. Because you have to pick the right event, okay, to use on. Like this one, it make invalidation listener. On the button, let's see if we can do. Yeah, it's not going to, because this is a event handler. On hidden, on hiding, on showing, new. So let's see on showing. Add event filter, event type, event header. New event header. Handle. Alright, so now what I do, I pretty much just make the stage to handle something when I do something with stage. Right, add event header, new event header. And we need to know this is the type of object. Let's see, we can give it to the list type. You can replace with Lambda, but this one is asking where do object. So new event header. Window cannot be applied. Event header. No instance of type variables t exist. Yeah. So it's looking for the type. Alright, so I don't want to spend too much time on this, but yeah, we'll come back and make it happen. So we have to make the right binding to that triangle. Okay. The point now is we just want to make sure we understand that's a binding technique that you can use. Like with this type, the probably binding not gonna work with a triangle or the polygon. It's very easy with the circle. Now if we test with the circle, okay, let make the shape circle, and then you see the benefit of this. So now I'm going to add the circle equals to new circle. Okay. So when we create a circle, what do we need? Center. So circle dot set center x. Let's say 100. Dot set center y. Right, 100. Let me reduce the size of the triangle. Alright. So now we need to set the radius, right? Set the radius. Let's make it 100. Alright, we get a circle. We need to put the circle on to the layout. Which layout we're using so far? Center pane. So let's add this circle. So now if you want to add more than one, you have to do add all. Alright, let's just check out. We got a circle. Right. Now, let me remove this triangle. So let's look at the binding. We talk about property binding, right? So now circle will not change, right? So by using the property binding, we can say like we go to circle dot center x property to get the property of that x, the center, and the y center, and then bind to the width property. Okay, so circle dot center x property, we bind to. Now, are we binding to the pane? Right, the layout pane, right? So now, who's our pane at this point? We put them all into center pane, right? So technically, I need to make center pane to go before I can use to go on the line off. Right, so center pane dot, so we can get the width, right, of the center pane. Right, so we can do width property, but we want to get the width property and divide by 2, right? So because we're dealing with the property, we're not dealing with the actual value, so that's why we don't get the width. We do width property. Like, and this is also, we deal with the property. Pretty much we directly change the value x and y by binding it to the pane, right? Height property, and then divide by 2. Alright, let's try to see if we can bind this. Okay, so it doesn't do. Let's see why. Because circles belongs to center pane. Let's look at the sequence of the code. We create a pane, we create a circle, we set the radius, and then we add to the pane. We create a pane, we create a circle, we make it by first. So you may, like, when you, the sequence is also does matter, and also the layout itself too. Like, we use different layout. We use the flow pane. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna change to just regular pane. All right. So there's an error, line 46. Set center X. Did we use set center later? Oh, we only, I see. When you do bind, you don't need to do that, right? Okay. Alright, so now it's bind to, right, so it's bind to your, let me see. Now, let me try, if I use flow pane again. It's gonna do the flow, that's why it's not gonna work. And that could be the reason why our triangle doesn't work too, because it's being controlled by the other layout. Alright, so that's pretty much just showing the binding. I mean, to look at the basic first, that's what you want to see, because if you try to dig deep into details, it's gonna be a little bit like require more experience and more skills, okay, to work with the UI. So this is another example of the binding. Like, I create the double property. It's pretty much, you know, we have double as primitive type, right? And we have the double class. But double property is referred to the property of the double. Like for example, I said, okay, the double property, we create D1 and D2, but whenever I change the values, like now we make D1 to 1, D2 to 2, right? But I make D1 actually depending on D2. So meaning that when I run this program, D1 is going to be 2 right away, because we bind to the value of D2. Okay. So that's why this is just another example. If I set the value of D2, it's going to make a change to D1 because they're binding. Make sense? This is a concept of the double property, and this is only happen in Javafx. Okay. So now we understand nodes. So another good thing about Javafx is, you guys know CSS, cascading style sheet. So I just show you a little bit when someone was asking me about, like when I go to Nova website, right? And how do we control this layout, right? So this is using most likely CSS cascading style sheet to style the like font, color, things like that. So you may learn CSS by yourself, right? Like when I build website, I pretty much just learn from W3 school, from HTML and everything. So you may see you can control the like background color and things like that, right? So light blue, you can actually use that in Javafx to control the layout of your UI. Right, so for example, this is a CSS, right? So I want to change the background to light blue, right? Technically, I can just call the set style, right? So let's go back to my circle object, right? So this is like we can do all the nodes because these are common for the node. So everything that is the node doesn't have to be just the circle. Set style. So style pretty much just linking to the CSS code right away. Okay. And yeah, this is just the FX values. So let's see. I don't think we can use like that. We have to do FX first. Okay. So we go call FX dash FX dash fill, right? With light blue, right? Because if you understand the concept of CSS, you have to call the property first and then give the values like that. Okay. Like this one, if you go back, background color pretty much just that's the property of this page. Okay, so that's why. But this one should get the property of the circle, which is FX fill. Alright, so now, yeah, like set stroke, you can do that too, but set style is just the common one that we use for all, like could be the pane, see FX border color for the pane, background color, see, pretty much the same thing with the background, but we just do dash FX before it. So let's say we set the pane, like we call center pane dot set style, right? Because those are the common. And let's make the I was using the dash FX that set background color, right? So let's do light green. There you go, right? Make it easy to control the style. All right, so you can have like set rotate too. That's a common one for the node. Set rotate. You can rotate the background. And then we have color class. Color class pretty much just if you want to get to the color is RGB, right? So you just provide the double values of the RGB color from between 0 to 255, right? But it's just do abbreviation from 0 to 0.21, like intensity in percentage. And then we have another parameter called opaque, right? To get the like shadow or make it strength or like put a shadow on it. Font, pretty much you can set the font style, like font family, like bold, italics, and use Times New Roman and things like that. You can create a font and set to the label. Make it italics, bold. Basically look like that. And then this is dealing with the image. If you want to add pictures into your class, you can just create an image class, link to where the image file is. Did I show you once already? Linking the image. Yes, right? Yeah. So, and then we just put image view. Image view pretty much just create an object. Like image is an object of represent that like us.gif, right? Image view pretty much just like container. Right, just like a node, like button, something like that, and then we can just start to put into the layout. Like example, you link to image, and then you put create image view, then you can add to the pane. Okay, image itself represented like .gif or JPG and so on. Okay, so like let me show it real quick then again. So we could do image, right, equals to new image, and then this technically need to link to the image file, right? If you have it locally, and then let's see. If you want to link to outside, you need to rely on the URL. Okay. Alright, so new, I think URL. That's not even the JPG. I want the JPG. It's SVG, huh? Alrighty. Now this is looking for let me just do without first. I know that it's not gonna work. We have to deal with the URL first when you link to the image to URL. But let's set the path. You need the path first, and then now we just need to put this into the layout, right? So we have I want to put in the center pane right there. So image view. Let's test, see what we get first. Like I said, the image will not work. Oh, it's do the action inviting now. This one. So it's technically it's gonna work with a triangle, I think. See? Because it's biting to the changes. Now let's say we want an image, right? But this happened to be URL, like not the like c:/path, right, to the file. So we have to deal with the URL first. Okay. Like, since this is a URL, so we need to, let me create a URL. URL equals to new URL. And put the URL, right? Now, image actually looking for, so we have to understand the image class a little bit. So let's look at image class. We want to look at a constructor, the IO system, string URL. There you go. So this is what we're looking for, right? So it's looking for a string URL. If URL is known, URL is string represent the URL. Let me see if I just do URL dot to string, what happens first. So we're not getting an image here. Image, right? From URL. Image source, image view, new image source. Should be very simple, right? Not even using the URL. Path, image view. Should be very simple right there, huh? Give it path. String path equals let me see, let me remove the, just focus on image first, image view. Move circle out. Let me test with a local image just to make sure everything is fine. So what I can do, I can just copy the path. And let me get the image to store in this location. Okay. Oh, I want to just get basic type then. PNG. Alright, so come back to, it should be java.png, right? So I got an image right there, right? Now the issue is, why can't I actually get the image from this link, from the URL, right? So copy image. I want to copy image URL, right? Image address. So that should take me to that location. Let's try again. No, right? Like I said, when we do this, we need to give the URL that I remember. Because this is a URL, we have to change the URL first. And this URL has to be changed to string, because this is a URL. Now let's check the URL a little bit. These are the URL class with all the methods, but you want to change URL. Let me try this one first. String dot value of URL, and then let's try that. No. All right. So URL is the path, right? Let's check URL class in Java. I want to find the methods that get the contents of this URL. This technically you can use that when you create a browser, right? You can get the content, this method. Get file. Get path. Maybe this is something that we want. Get path. But we want not just the path, right? But also the URL image to image view. To URL, to URL, to URI. Let me see, say use file, huh? If I remember, it's to your something like. Let me dot to URI, and then dot to string or to URL or something. Dot to URL, because URL is an object, right? Let's say first, if I do system.out, the problem is cannot show, because when you do system.out.print, you're not going to see the actual file, right? Because it's an object. So it's actually print the path to the file. If you click, it should take you to the image.
It says it was loading an image.
Yeah, it's not loading the image when we pass directly to, like, when I do URL like that, it will not take it, because the constructor image doesn't take the URL, right? But it's actually take the path. So that's why I try to change this to string, but it doesn't work. Maybe get file. Okay. Let's see what we get from get file first. I remember I made it work, but I don't recall now. Okay. That's why it's a little bit challenge when you're dealing with the path, that I remember. How to load image from the web. How to load image from web site. Open connection. They use buffer image, huh? URL open connection get input stream. Very interesting. And then okay. So open connections get input stream. Now we get input stream, and now we have it in input stream, and we know that image can do the one of the constructor image is input stream, so that should do. Right. There's an error. Alright, let's see what's errors now. Server return response code. So now you have to check what's 403. You guys write a web application, some of you do, right? So for this gonna be a code like 403 errors. It's like forbidden. So let me try with another image then. Let's try another site in case. Images. Copy image address. It's not linked to the actual that's not .png, right? This is not the actual image, right? Yeah, view image, right? It's PNG. All right, so there you go. So the other side is how forbidden for us to connect and get input stream. Okay, so open connection, get input stream, and use the input stream instead of the string. Otherwise, it's not going to work. Yeah, that's why I say it's a little bit challenge when you do with URL. All right, I think that's pretty much the end of this chapter dealing with the image. Okay, let me go back. So we talk about private byting. We show you that the font class, that's very simple, right? Image view. We talk about layout already. All of them, layout panes. This is just talk about all the layout panes in details, which we talk about those. Okay, we show you how to use that. Shapes, we talk about shapes. So shape itself, I just show you just polygon and circle. You can actually explore your own like text. You can just draw a text. Same concept, right? Add to the pane. You can draw a line like that. Just give 2 coordinates. So it's just something that you need to spend some time on to each of those. You can just do just arcs like a pie instead of the whole circle, things like that. Okay. And this is just an application. Just draw a clock, right, with a minute hands, circle hand, like hour hand, second hands, and then it just do the byting concept to make the clock like move. Okay, so this is just good study application that you want to look at. So chapter 14 should be very simple to create. Okay, like the one that more challenge is chapter 15, the event handler, that we start to talk about it a little bit already. So next time we're gonna come back and look in more details and finish chapter 15. So class exercise for this today is what? I mean the assignment for this week. So today I talk 14, 15. Next time I try to finish 15, 16. We talk about 13 a little bit, and then we talk 13. Okay. And assignment, this one didn't talk about assignment, right? This is just about the schedule. So where we at? We should do 14, 15. Let's look at the syllabus again. Have you done 14, 15 already? So you done which one? Up to?
I think 12, 13.
So you done 13?
I think so.
That was way 11.
So November 10th. Yeah, 14, 15, 16 should be done, right? By let's say the 19th, right? So you should start to do 12. So this weekend 14 should be done, right? 14. Then okay. All right. So I guess that's pretty much it.